Welcome. Today, we're diving into the world of phrasal verbs. These are special verb phrases in English that combine a verb with a preposition or an adverb, creating a new meaning that's often quite different from the original verb. For example, give up doesn't just mean to give something, but rather to quit or stop trying. Understanding phrasal verbs is essential for sounding natural and fluent in English. In this video, we'll explore how phrasal verbs are formed, how they differ from similar structures, and practice with some common examples. Let's get started and make English a little less mysterious. Phrasal verbs are created by pairing a verb with a preposition, an adverb, or sometimes both. This combination forms a new expression with a unique, often idiomatic meaning. For instance, look up can mean to search for information, while run into means to meet someone unexpectedly. The key is that the meaning isn't always obvious from the individual words. That's why it's important to learn these phrases as a whole, rather than just translating word by word. Next, we'll see how these combinations work and why context is so important. Now, let's talk about the difference between particles and prepositions in phrasal verbs. Particles often look like prepositions, but they act more like adverbs, changing the meaning of the verb in a unique way. For example, in give up is a particle, not a preposition. Prepositions, on the other hand, always introduce a prepositional phrase, like look at the sky. Understanding this difference helps you use phrasal verbs correctly and spot them in conversation. Let's look at some examples to make this clearer. Let's explore some common phrasal verbs you'll hear every day. For instance, give up means to quit, carry on means to continue, and switch on means to turn something on. Each of these phrases has a meaning that's different from the individual words. By practicing these, you'll start to recognize them in conversations, movies, and books. Remember, context is key. The more you see and use these phrases, the more natural your English will sound. Now let's put your knowledge to the test with some practice exercises. Fill in the blanks with the correct phrasal verb. For example, the truth finally me. The answer is dawned on. Practicing these exercises helps you remember the phrases and use them correctly in real life. Don't worry if you make mistakes at first. Learning phrasal verbs takes time, but with regular practice, you'll get the hang of it. Let's check your answers together. For example, he gave up all struggle means he stopped trying. Switch on the light, please means to turn the light on. She takes after her mother means she resembles her mother. Reviewing the answers helps reinforce your understanding and shows how these phrases fit naturally into sentences. If you got some wrong, that's okay. Just review and try again. Mastering phrasal verbs can be challenging, but here are some tips to help you. First, learn them in context, not just as isolated words. Second, practice using them in your own sentences. Third, listen for them in conversations, movies, and songs. Finally, keep a notebook of new phrasal verbs you encounter. With consistent practice, you'll start to use them naturally and confidently. Phrasal verbs are everywhere in English. Native speakers use them all the time, often without even realizing it. If you want to sound natural and understand everyday conversations, mastering phrasal verbs is essential. They add color and variety to your language, making your speech more dynamic and expressive. So don't be afraid to use them. Embrace them as a key part of your English journey. Wrap up, we've explored what phrasal verbs are, how they're formed, and why they're so important in English. We practiced with real examples and learned some tips for mastering them. Remember, the key is practice and exposure. Keep listening, reading, and using phrasal verbs every day. Check out the resources in the description for more exercises and keep building your confidence. Thanks for watching and happy learning.